Good morning. Today is Thursday, October 24th, and this is your 11 a.m. community briefing. I'm Lillian Govis, Director of Communications and Public Engagement for Buncombe County. I do want to start today out with a little celebration. Right before we came here, I ran into one of our 911 supervisors, and he shared that they have 8 new trainees who are out working on the floor taking calls, which is a big deal. And he says that they are absolutely just rocking it. So, as we know, when this disaster struck, our 911 telecommunicators were the heroes and sheroes who got the help out. So it's especially exciting to know that there are even more first responders there to help. So let's have a round of applause for them today. Thank you, 911. Today we'll be joined by Dave Connolly with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They were already managing debris removal for rivers, streams, and mudslides, and now they'll also be managing all other storm debris in the county. We'll also hear from Corinne Duncan, Buncombe County Director of Elections, Dan Leroy with United Way, and Jackie Kiger from Pisgah Legal Services. We do have City Manager Deborah Campbell here for questions for the city if those arise. We do not have any. Clay Chandler is not here today with us. But first, as we always do, I'll turn it over to County Manager Avril Pinder.
Thanks, Lillian. Good morning. Today is the last day to apply for Disaster Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, also known as DSNAP. This program is for households with low to moderate income, and the deadline is today. Please don't miss out on this. You can apply in person at Buncombe County Health and Human Services at 40 Cox Avenue in Asheville from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We understand that the lines are long, as today is the last day. The staff are working to get everyone in and out as soon as possible. If you're unable to go in person, you can fill out an authorization form and get an authorized person in your place and send someone else in your place. As long as you get an authorization form, you can send an authorized person in your place. The form can be found at buncombecounty.org. Due to high call volumes, many of you have not been able to get through on the call center. We encourage you to pre-register at going to epass.nc.gov. epass.nc.gov. After completing the pre-registration, you'll receive a confirmation number, meaning that you are now in the system and someone will reach out to you to finish your application, even after today's deadline. Let me repeat that, because if you have your confirmation number, you don't have to come in person to complete your application. So if you get on that system, epass.nc.gov, and pre-register, you're in the system. Get your confirmation number and someone will reach out to you even after today's deadline to get your application completed. This would ensure that you will, if you want to apply, you get the opportunity to do so. So again, epass.nc.gov, get your confirmation number. Even after today's deadline, someone will reach out to you to finish your application. In addition, if you are in line at Cox after 4 p.m., your application will be received. To summarize, to receive money for groceries, pre-register today at epass.nc.gov, so we will have you in the system and someone will follow up with you. So you can apply in line at Cox Avenue today. If you're in line before 4 p.m., your application will be received. You can also call 844-453-1117. 844-453-1117. Moving to disaster recovery. The Disaster Recovery Center, which is a one-stop shop where people can get assistance from FEMA and the Small Business Administration, will move from its location at AC Reynolds High School at the end of the day today due to school reopening. You can still visit the site at 9 Reynolds Drive today. We will announce a new location as soon as possible. A mobile disaster recovery center is open today through Sunday at the Bee Tree Fire Station in Swannanoa from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and the Buncombe County Sports Park in the parking lot from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. A reminder that the community care station at AC Reynolds offering showers, laundry, and more will still operate there. Other community care centers include At Home Store the parking lot, Big Lots in Brooks Mall, Buncombe County Sports Park, Bethel United Methodist, Swananoa Ingalls, Swananoa Owen Pool, Morgan Hill Baptist Church. Look for signs like these to show you where these community care centers are. We know kids are going to start heading back to school tomorrow, but there are still a number of traffic lights that aren't working. Please remember that if a traffic light isn't working, slow down and act as if it's a four-way stop. We want to keep our kids safe as they return. Our food and water distribution sites continue to operate. Today, food and water distribution sites are Skylane Bowling Alley, Black Mountain Ingalls, Swananoa Ingalls, Linwood Crump, Shiloh Community Center, Hack Square Park, Buncombe County Sports Park, Fairview Ingalls. For solid waste, today's household bag trash drop-off can be made at the Ingalls in Fairview. This is for today only. A pesticide collection event is today from 4 p.m. at 74 Research Drive in Mills River and is open to all counties. This is for label and known chemicals only. No mixed chemicals, no liquid and bulk containers will be accepted, and there's no charge to dispose of pesticides at this event. Debris collection is contained in Fairview, Swananoa, and North Buncombe. But Dave, when he comes up from the Corps of Engineers, will touch on more on that. Mountain Mobility Trailblazer. Buncombe County's Community Transportation Service, Mountain Mobility, is providing direct access to 3 early voting sites. This is via the Trailblazer route. Customers using any of the 3 Trailblazer routes will be able to use the following voting sites. The Black Mountain Trailblazer Riders. Is that me making all that noise? I apologize. Black Mountain Trailblazer Riders will have access to the Black Mountain Library. Anchor Candler Trailblazer Riders will have access to the Anchor Candler Library. And North Buncombe Riders will have access to the Weaverville Community Center. Again, Trailblazer Rise giving voters the opportunity to vote at the early voting sites, and those sites are Black Mountain Library, Anchor Candler Library, and Weaverville Community Center. Customers can be picked up anywhere along a Trailblazer route, and as always, the service is fare-free and available to all. Qualifying Mountain Mobility customers may take trips to other voting sites. Meeting temporary housing need. We know that's a great need in our community, and getting families out of shelters and hotels and into long-term solution is a priority. And FEMA direct leasing and multifamily lease and repair programs help families find more stable housing while continuing their recovery. FEMA is currently seeking interested, qualified owners or property management companies to help meet the temporary housing needs for Hurricane Helene survivors by leasing their property directly to FEMA. FEMA is hosting a webinar this afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. for property managers and residential property owners who are interested in leasing more about leasing directly to FEMA. We will add the link to register to this webinar in the chat. Again, this is leasing directly to FEMA for anyone that has property that they want to let FEMA lease so we can start providing houses for our friends, residents, and our neighbors and our families in our community. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Connolly, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pinder. I just wanted today to give a quick update from USACE and maybe just reiterate a few things that we may have talked about previously. Our mission areas remain the same. We have the temporary power missions, debris, infrastructure assessment, and temporary water. And I just will touch really highly on 2 of them, debris and the temp water mission that we're doing. And I know, I've said it before, some of the processes within the federal government may be a little bit clunky, so I'll try to address as we go. So speaking on debris, we are partnered with Ashbridge as our debris removal contractor for the missions. Today, right now, we have awarded 1 contract at the North Carolina Arboretum, where today we are actually picking up debris. And we continue to receive taskings to remove specific types of debris in specific counties, cities, and municipalities. So it's important to note at the Corps of Engineers, we're not only operating in Buncombe County, but we're operating across all of the impacted counties in the area. So our goal is to work as fast and safely as we can. And at the end of the day, help out in the debris mission where if the county cannot handle, if they're out of capacity and it goes up to the state and we take our taskings from FEMA, that's where we come in. So it's a large, complex mission, and the footprint of the Corps of Engineers is scalable, and it's based upon, you know, the scope and size of assignments that we get from the state down to us from FEMA. We're just proud to be here to help. We know there's a lot of work going on from individuals, from the cities, from the counties, and we're just happy to do what we can where the capacity is wide in those areas. I think that there's a lot of questions about debris from individuals. So that's why I wanted to show this graphic, and we'll make sure that this graphic is available after this through as many platforms as we can put it on. But I think as individuals, when it comes to debris, oh, I got the clicker.
Sure.
You're all right. When it comes to debris, the most important things individuals should know is how to properly separate your debris. Because as I said, you know, number one, if you have what you consider to be a debris issue, go ahead. There it is. There it is. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah. So one, it's important that you know how to make your need known, right? Start with the local municipality. If they can't handle it, it'll kick up to the county. If they can't handle it, it'll go to the state and so on. And when it gets to the federal response, we, through FEMA, will be tasked and take care of it. So regardless of who picks up your debris, it's important to separate it. And this graphic is as simple as you can put it. It separates down your electronics, your large appliances, your hazardous waste, and so on. And you put it on the curb, so to speak, about 10 feet from that curb, and it will get taken care of as it's prioritized from the state. So we'll make sure that graphic is available after this. And then the second mission I want to just touch upon is the temporary water mission, which we're happy to say that today through this whole week, we've been placing temporary water solutions at the University of Asheville with the intent of pumping fresh water into the university so students can get back into the dorms and maybe into the dining facilities, you know, just hopefully to bring that sense of normalcy a little bit back. Don't ask me to explain what reverse osmosis process is, but it's basically that. Today they should be, you know, they'll test the water. We'll be working with DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, and the hope is to get water running through there probably about Friday, maybe Saturday, something like that, and hopefully get some students back on campus. So we're pretty happy about that. And with that said, that's really all the major updates I have, but I'll be standing by for any questions that people may have at the end.
Thanks, Dave. Next, we'll hear from Buncombe County's favorite Elections Director, Corinne Duncan.
Good morning, Buncombe. I'm Corinne Duncan, Director of Elections for the county, and I told you that Buncombe would vote, and you definitely are. Despite driving around pieces of missing roads, stopping at stoplights that still don't work, boiling your water to cook your food, and mourning losses, you're showing up to cast your ballot. We're making very long lines as well, and we're happy for it. All 10 early voting locations have been well utilized. We've had over 47,000 voters vote early so far. This pattern is different too. Usually the first 2 days of early voting are our highest, and then we start trending down. But not this time. Voting is holding steady. Thank you for having patience out there. Your poll workers and my staff are working indescribably hard to under just as much strain as you are to bring voting to you. And I'm proud of them, and I'm very proud of you all for showing up even when it's hard. We have extended voting hours this weekend. Please use them. We're open at all 10 locations, both Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Remember that early voting is open every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. through the last Saturday at 3 p.m. Weekends are usually less busy, so it's a great opportunity to keep up our steady trend of votes. And if we do this, we will beat 2020. So use the wait map at buncombecounty.org to see how many people are in line to help you choose where to go. And you can also get your sample ballot at buncombecounty.org/vote to help make voting more swift. You can vote at any location during early voting that's convenient to you. And those locations are Black Mountain Library, the East Asheville Library, the Inca Candler Library, the Fairview Library, Leicester Community Center, the South Buncombe Library, UNCA Health and Counseling Center, that's on Weaver T. Boulevard, the Weaverville Community Center, Dr. Wesley Grant Southside Center, and the West Asheville Library. Absentee by mail is still available. We've had over 15,000 requests and more than 3,000 of those ballots have been returned. We're processing those at board meetings and you're welcome to watch in person or online. If you'd like to request a ballot by mail, do it now. The deadline is the 29th, but don't wait. That doesn't give you a lot of time to get that ballot back to us. And the deadline to return is Election Day, November 5th at 7:30 p.m. So let's talk about Election Day. We have a plan. Understandably, not all of the usual Election Day locations are available to us. We've assessed all 80 of our precincts and determined that 17 either need to be moved to a new location or transferred. And we found all of those locations, which is absolutely wonderful. So many in our community reached out to offer their spaces to us. We've published those changes on our website and we're sending change cards in the mail now to all the voters that have a new location. So please spread the word far and wide about where to go on Election Day. And if you have any questions about voting, we're here for you. Our contact information is Elections Services at 59 Woodfin Place in Asheville. Our phone number is 828-250-4200. You can email us at elections@buncombecounty.org. And you can visit us on our website at buncombecounty.org/vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Corinne. Next, we will hear from Dan Leroy with United Way.
Thank you, Lillian. Good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some more information regarding United Way of Asheville and Buncombe County's Helene response efforts. And today, in particular, I want to provide an update on our joint efforts to organize community-wide volunteerism for local response efforts. One of United Way's longtime roles in our community has been mobilizing volunteers to address a wide variety of critical community issues. Over the years, our volunteer center, Hands-On Asheville Buncombe, has been at the center of community-wide days of service, massive supply drives. We've helped recruit thousands of volunteers for projects operated by hundreds of nonprofits, representing really diverse causes across our community, including notably throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we've activated Hands-On once again to assist with the mobilization of the thousands of volunteers who will be necessary to recover from this disaster in the days, the months, and the years ahead. In addition to Hands-On, we've partnered with Buncombe County government and Lutheran Disaster Response and Relief to launch an in-person volunteer reception center that complements the digital Hands-On Asheville Buncombe site. This in-person center will serve as a hub for individuals and groups who wish to volunteer, simply walking in whenever the center is open, and they'll be connected to whatever recovery efforts need volunteers on that particular day. The VRC is located at our building, located at 50 South French Broad, and it's open between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. 7 days a week. If you'd like to contact the center, you can email uwabcvrc@gmail.com or call 813-485-1354. Again, that's uwabcvrc@gmail.com, 813-485-1354. In short, our United Way is committed to ensuring that everyone who wishes to volunteer in local recovery efforts can do so in a manner that is easy, impactful, and personally fulfilling. And to ensuring that every organization engaged in the recovery throughout Buncombe County can access the volunteers that they need to complete their missions. So for individuals or groups looking to volunteer, you now have two options. You can sign up on our website, handsonasheville.org, or simply show up at the VRC between 8 and 1, 7 days a week, and you'll be connected to organizations who need volunteers. As of this morning, there are 38 volunteer opportunities on our site, representing 7,326 individual volunteer slots. To our fellow nonprofits and community groups, including to our friends from the many national disaster recovery organizations who are here in Buncombe County and United Way would like to invite and encourage you to register your volunteer opportunities on Hands On, which will automatically register you for the VRC at the same time. Simply email our team at info@handsonasheville.org or call 828-393-5628. Again, that's info@handsonasheville.org or call 828-393-5268, and our team is ready and waiting to get you set up. In addition to connecting you to the currently 8,399 potential volunteers who are currently activated and ready to volunteer on our site, listing your site on Hands On ensures that the county can capture the total number of volunteer hours donated to the recovery effort, which ultimately reduces the county's financial burden from the disaster. One quick story, as I was on my way over here, there were about 15 people in the lobby had just showed up to the VRC from Sharp Business Systems. Their office in Asheville is located in Biltmore Village and was destroyed in the flood. And they had volunteers from around the state, Sharp colleagues who would come to volunteer. And in about 20 minutes, we had them deployed to ABCCM for volunteer efforts. So that's happening in real time. One final note, the warehouse that we operated in partnership with Buncombe County to receive and distribute supply donations is now closed after a very successful run by all measures. In the 3 weeks since we opened the warehouse, we received and distributed 76 pallets and 2,606 boxes of essential supplies to dozens of frontline community partners, thanks in part to 427 volunteers who donated over 3,000 hours. For the most up-to-date information about how and where to donate your supplies, please visit the county website at buncombecounty.org. And for ongoing updated information about disaster-related resources, as always, I encourage you to call 211. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And our final guest today is Jackie Kiger with Pisgah Legal.
Good morning. My name is Jackie Kiger, and I'm honored to serve as the CEO of Pisgah Legal Services. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share more about our programs and how we are able to help people who have been affected by Helene. First, I would like to start by saying thank you to all of the city and the county staff, the first responders, the frontline workers, and everyone in this community who has been working tirelessly to help our community recover. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the resilience of our neighbors here in Buncombe County. Even in the face of such a challenging event, we are seeing incredible efforts to come together and to support one another. But we know that for many families and individuals, this disaster brings with it not just the physical and emotional tolls and hardships, but legal challenges as well. Pisgah Legal Services provides a broad array of free civil legal aid, anti-poverty advocacy, and access to healthcare to help people meet their most basic needs for safety, shelter, healthcare, food, and other critical necessities. In addition to our legal services, Pisgah Legal helps people access health insurance through the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid, helps them file their taxes, and addresses issues associated with Medicaid transformation through other non-legal programs. We are here to ensure that Buncombe County residents, especially the most vulnerable among us, have access to the assistance they need in this recovery process. Whether it's helping with issues related to housing and landlord-tenant rights and disputes, FEMA applications, or immigration rights, we are available to provide guidance and representation. For those who've experienced damage to their homes or who lost essential possessions, navigating the paperwork for federal assistance can be overwhelming. We're here to make sure no one has to face these challenges alone, especially those who may not have the resources to hire private attorneys. So I'd like to take a moment to highlight a few specific ways that Pisgah Legal can help. First, FEMA and disaster benefits. Applying for FEMA assistance and other disaster relief benefits can be complicated. Our staff is prepared to assist families with these applications and to ensure that they receive the help they're entitled to. Housing and evictions. Evictions tend to rise sharply after natural disasters, and our housing team is working to stop homelessness before it happens. We are here to help and ensure that the proper process is followed. Know your rights. Pisgah Legal's attorneys and advocates are providing resources for the community to understand their rights following a natural disaster in areas such as housing, consumer protections, and benefits. And we're spreading these messages through the media and through our website and social media channels. And finally, domestic violence prevention. Domestic violence increases in times of high stress, like a natural disaster. Pisgah Legal attorneys are working to support survivors during this stressful time, including helping them navigate complicated custody issues due to relocations and lack of contact. I also want to emphasize that all of our services are free of charge for those who qualify, and we encourage anyone in need to reach out to us as soon as possible. You can apply online for our services at www.pisgahlegal.org or call 828-253-0406. In times like these, it's more important than ever that everyone in Buncombe County has equal access to the resources they need to rebuild their lives. Pisgah Legal has been here in Western North Carolina for more than 46 years. We stand with this community, and we will do everything we can to make sure that justice is served for everyone during this recovery process. So please do not hesitate to contact us or to share our information with others who may need legal assistance. Together, we will rebuild stronger. Thank you.
At this point, we will turn to questions from the media who are joining on a separate Zoom link. While I was standing there, I did see some chatter on the Facebook feed about debris questions. Debris is going to be a long process. And so move that debris to the right of way. We will be going out and collecting. We won't just make one pass. We'll make several passes, but it's going to be an extremely long process. It's going to be different than your trash collection, right? It's going to take time for us to get to all of these locations, but the work is happening now. And as I drive back and forth from my home in the Swannanoa area, I'm seeing that already happening. So just know, be patient with us. You don't have to haul it yourself. Put it in that public right of way. Don't put it on a meter or obstructing any sort of access that emergency crews need. And our debris cleanup folks will get to you. Also have an update from Spectrum. We are still working on full restoration. There are 8,077 customers who are still offline with Spectrum. So that's the latest from them. And at this point, we will turn things over to questions from the media.
Hey, Lillian, John Boyle with Asheville Watchdog. One for you. You just mentioned, the debris and cleanup. I've had a couple people ask me if they want to, can they still just take the debris to the dump themselves just to get it out of the yard? And if they do, what's the system for that?
It would really depend on what the debris is. Is it tree limbs and branches, vegetative debris? Yes. Is it construction debris, that's going to be a little bit more complicated. And so we don't want everyone taking debris to the landfill because our landfill space is also limited, right? So while we're using these debris cleanup folks, they are taking it to other locations so that we can preserve that precious space at our landfill. And I'm going to do a shameless plug right now. Speaking of solid waste, we are still going to transition to a new solid waste provider January 1st. So if folks haven't signed up with FCC Environmental to be their new solid waste provider for unincorporated Buncombe County, if you're currently a waste provider now, you do need to sign up for that new service.
Great. And I had a couple questions for Mr. Connolly about the debris.
Great.
Yes, sir. This is Dave.
Hey, thanks for being here. I've had a couple people ask me, and I know timelines are very difficult, but folks are concerned that this could stretch out over a year or more for debris pickup because there's just so much. And then I had a question too about how is this all being paid for? And someone mentioned a previous storm in North Carolina that almost bankrupted everybody because there was so much debris. I was hoping you could address those two things, potential timeline and cost.
Okay. Yeah, I won't even hazard to speculate exactly how long it will take. I mean, the Corps of Engineers role initially with debris when we came on the ground as tasked by FEMA was to kind of do estimates of quantities. We're talking 10 million cubic yards of debris across, and this is not just Buncombe County. This is for all counties that are impacted, 25 or so in the area. So I would anticipate it's going to take months, if not a year. Speaking for our district, Colonel Brad Morgan's our commander. We're in the Wilmington district, and we kind of have ownership of this mission in North Carolina until it's over. And we have established a temporary recovery field office in Hickory, right? We're trying to get close enough where we're not taking resources from the local community, but we're far enough forward to continue to provide support as we are tasked through FEMA. So we're going to be there. That lease is a year, if that tells you anything. So we don't, it'll be another basically mission set for our district above and beyond our regular daily jobs that we have with the regulatory mission here in the state and the civil works missions and the flood risk management missions that go on. So I can't tell you how long it's going to take. I can tell you that in money, I'm not the expert on where the money comes from, but at the end of the day, for the Corps of Engineers, our taskings will come down through FEMA with emergency management funding.
Okay, thanks. And do you have anything to do with the water issue out at North Fork, or is that a separate responsibility from what you're doing?
We have not yet been tasked specifically with, and we have experts on the ground. Everybody's working together, collaborating to determine what the needs are, what the scope of the problem is. And it's just like the other process that I described with debris, right? We're working with the local municipalities, the county and the state to determine what's the scope, what's the need, what's the requirement. And when the requirement outweighs the capacity that those states, that the state has and the county has, it will then raise to FEMA, right? So until we get tests, I can't speak on that specifically from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, but I can tell you that we're working hard with everybody to determine what needs to be done, what cannot be handled at the state level or below. And then that will then be determined by FEMA, what taskings we may receive. Does that answer your question? I hope a little bit.
It does. It helps. Yeah. And would you mind spelling your name just so I make sure I don't mess that up?
Yeah, it's Dave, D-A-V-E, Connolly, C-O-N-N-O-L-L-Y.
Thank you.
All right.
If
Hey,
you
my
must
name is Laura from
do a correction, John. Go ahead, Laura.
just wanted to clarify a couple things about DSNAP. So our understanding is if you were in line at 4 o'clock today, you will be served, you will get an interview. And also that you can go to another office if the Buncombe County office has a long line as it did yesterday, you can go to another county. I just want to confirm those two things with you.
Confirmed on both accounts. And you can also go ahead, register at epass.nc.gov. If you have that confirmation number, you are in the system, and then our folks can follow up with you.
And is there the potential if you have that confirmation number and you're not able to get through on the phone line today, that you will be able to do the interview somewhere down the line?
Correct.
Great. And then I had a question for Dan Leroy from United Way.
Excellent. He's headed this way.
Yes.
Hi, good morning. We understand from a couple of different governmental sources that United Way has been sort of the central repository, if you will, of information about missing persons. And that number has fluctuated somewhere around 22 to 25 people. You don't want this question. Okay. Lillian, you want this question?
Yep. So like we shared, report missing persons to the non-emergency number of either the City of Asheville Police or Buncombe County Sheriff's Office so that they can process that. We've moved away. 211 was helping kind of fill that gap, but now those are being delegated to the local law enforcement authorities. So not United Way.
Okay. So does that mean that the local law enforcement in Buncombe can tell us the number of missing people at the moment?
We will make that request.
Okay, and just to be clear, I'm going to need to make that request of each individual law enforcement agency. There's not a centralized state source of that information.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Hey there, Lillian. Is it all right if I ask a
Kim,
question? Hey,
I'll go ahead and tell Corinne to come this way because I know you're got a question for her.
thank you. Hi, Corinne. Nice to see you remotely.
I can.
When you talked about 47,000 people have voted early, just taking a first glance at some numbers that Lillian sent me before the news conference, up to day 7 in 2020, I guess the totals in 2020 were 102,000. How far ahead percentage-wise are we compared to 2020 at day 7, which I'm counting as yesterday? And have you been taking a look at any trends by party with this surge?
So in 2020, we had extremely high turnout the first few days, and then we dropped off. In this election, we're having between 6,000 and 7,000 voters a day. If we keep up that trend, then we will meet or exceed the 2020 numbers. And I don't have the data in front of me to compare the exact comparison for the number of days with 2020 this first week. There's also different hours and things that of that nature too that make it not a direct comparison. And there is demographic data out there, but we don't do that analysis. There is information on the front page of our website that has each early voting day with some demographics on there that you can take a look at.
Thank you.
I have a question in the chat for Dave. We've said before that between the city and the county, we have an estimated 10 million cubic yards of debris. Do you have a number for the estimate of total storm debris in all of Western North Carolina?
I believe that 10 million cubic yards estimation was all of the impacted area. No, that's just Buncombe County. I'll have to get back to you on that, to be honest. If that's just Buncombe County, then yeah, it's the number is going to be much higher, but I will get back to you and I'll pass that information as I get it to Lillian, and maybe we'll add it into the press, the release that goes out. We're going to check it because I do believe that from my reporting, 10 million cubic yards was the entirety. I mean, the bulk of it is most likely in this area, but I'll check it. We'll verify. I'll get back to you.
Dave left his measuring tape at home today. Additional questions from press? Tomorrow, we will be joined, like we always are, by the city of Asheville for another update. Tomorrow is Friday, and so they'll be here to provide that update to the community about the status of water restoration and other city things. I'm taking one last look to make sure there are no final questions. All right, with that, I hope everyone has an enjoyable Thursday. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.